Hi, Laura.
No, you're good.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have a full house today here in the office, so thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. We're going to go ahead and get started as far as a recap of Gulf Coast Conference and a couple of other things that we need to share with you all. And it won't be a 2-hour presentation or a combination of 8 presentations or anything, but we will try to give you the Cliffs Notes version of the Gulf Coast Conference recap and share with you guys some interesting or things you may just need to know in case you weren't there. As many of you were there, I think it's probably the largest attended Gulf Coast there has been in my years of going, 10 years of going, I guess, 11 years of going. But we had great turnout in our sessions. We had some combination type sessions with us and our vendors, and a little something new this year that we were able to secure. Thank you, Chad, very much. And the conference committee was, oh man, I wasn't going to forget this because I've heard Anderson call it like 8 different things: a resource room, a doctor's office, a resource booth. There were several different things it got called, but we had a space dedicated to the State 911 board during which we were able to talk with, meet with, plan, discuss, listen to a lot of you. And I'll just say it was very valuable to us. You all provided some excellent feedback, asked some great questions, and we hope very much to be able to do that again in the future. And we're also willing to take suggestions on that. I think I already have a few ideas about how I would like it set up a touch differently to make it a bit more conducive. Obviously, our agenda and discussion topics were pretty heavy on GIS because we have a deadline looming, do we not?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
What is it?
You should
Is
you
this
should answer
time?
faster than Adam next time, Anderson, regarding GIS. But anyway, it seemed to be somewhat GIS heavy, but that's for obvious reasons, I believe. We got to share, like I said, that time with you and our vendors, so we appreciate you coming out to see us. All right, a couple of things that we feel worth repeating are some topics that we discussed in a couple of our sessions and some things that you may have seen differently. And I just want to go over those as far as the distribution under Act 2025-376. So you all have received the distribution, you've received the letter that via email that I've sent out. It's been posted online. Michelle's already posted it on our website, and all of the previous ones from last fiscal year have been archived, so they're also accessible. They're all in variety of formats. All of our distributions are on our website and available for since this board has existed, so do keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to dive right in. We did a little bit of a recap and overview for revenues just to let you all know that for the most part, while it does wax and wane some months, our revenues are quite steady and have been for the past year. I don't go back before July 24th, July 2024 on this chart because it was a different rate. So that would make it look like it had pretty dramatically increased, and that is not the case. The rate did change, but the revenues that have been produced by said rate have remained constant. So just to give you an idea, last year we brought in, or we took in through the payment portal and through the Department of Revenue, 156,626,000 and some change. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what our revenues were in fiscal year 2025. So let's talk about the distribution letter. It's a couple pages longer than it used to be, and it contains a bit more information than it has in the past. We want to be certain that we're being transparent with you all and that you understand what we're tracking, what we're trending, and what we're looking at. So like I said, it's five pages, so a little longer than it usually is. But the first page of the letter simply tells you the source of the revenues, whether they came through the Department of Revenue or they were carrier receipts through our payment portal. Department of Revenue, just as a reminder for you all, that's prepaid, device with minutes or reloading of minutes, prepaid point of sale. We don't get a lot of information regarding that. We just get a payment and we can back into transactionally how many times that occurs in a month. And then we do have a bit of a delay up to 60 or 90 days of getting that. As far as the way that the point of sale goes, the collection goes to the Department of Revenue, and then they turn around and send it to us. It's a bit quicker when we collect it through the carrier portal directly from carriers, but it is still a 30 to 60 day collection process, if you will. Also, the second graph that I'm showing on page 1 is the total connections reported to the board through the carrier portal. So we want to help y'all understand and know that we, again, continue to trend all of the connection types. This is something that's been done by the board since 2013, since it collected its first series of checks in December of 2013. Those connection counts have been tracked. The letter goes onto the second page to sort of give you a summary and breakdown of where the money goes and how it's divided up. And there is an extra portion in this current month's distribution letter regarding the population change, because we do have to apply a population change October 1 of every year. We get that data from the University of Alabama. There's a very specific division that does that calculation. They have started publishing it on a website, so now we can just go pull it down. There are a few calculations where we have to figure out what town or city fits in what ECD, but that's been tracked for a dozen years. Adam had the pleasure of doing the population this year, so it is what it is. I mean, they're numbers that were provided, and we just do the math from there. All right, third page of the distribution letter is just a breakdown that is, I tried to change the wording to mirror what the statute says. And it's just the calculation of what we got from where, what comes out, where it goes, and what it's used for. So the last 2 pages are something you should be very familiar with. It's the calculation itself of what your baseline distribution and any remaining is left over for population. For this particular month's distribution, which is last month's collections, we only had $40,000 left over for population distribution. So those were a bit smaller, and those distributions are coming to you separately. We've had a lot of questions and I went back and forth, kind of asked the advice from the board, and we've decided we will do the baseline distribution on the 15th. Crystal clear in the statute what the baseline distribution should be, and then we're separately doing population. I realize that's maybe more transactions for you to keep up with, and so touch more work for us here in the office. However, we're just trying to be very distinct about the naming of the transaction so that you all will know. I get a lot of confirmations from third-party audits that your accounting firms do, and I have to break it down that way. I do it anyway, so it's just one more batch of ACH payments. So we are breaking it apart. On the 15th is your baseline, and on the 20th is your population. Couple of other things specifically for this month, distribution wise or payment wise, not distribution wise, your reimbursements are still going to go out on the final business day of the month. I set those up Friday, I believe, for your PST reimbursements as well as your legacy reimbursements, which were higher this time. You have how many more times? November and December. You have 2 more times to get them in for this year. So we expect them to kind of creep on up as far as those. Another one that I think Adam will talk about probably is very briefly, probably, are the grant cycle 10, which is long overdue, but we got to pay those out. And I think I did them last
Last
week, but
week.
when
That
they
should
paid
be
already,
Thursday,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they paid already. I think they paid last week,
Mhm.
late last week.
Some people got it. So if you didn't, you can check it.
Yes, exactly. So, those have gone out, and I think that's all the payments for this month that have gone out, but there's an extra one for those of you that, were a grant recipient from Grant Cycle 10. This is what I was discussing earlier. Adam did this slide for Gulf Coast Conference, and just to give you an idea, the QR code takes you to their website and shows you where that data is that we pull from the University of Alabama and figure out the population that should be assigned to your ECD. And yes, it breaks down every little nook and cranny in the state of Alabama, whether it's incorporated, not incorporated, and we have to put that into the ECD that it's assigned to and come up with what the population is per ECD. And oh, I had something and it just left me. What was I going to say? I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So the next thing that we did discuss at Gulf Coast Conference, we are trying to do a more cohesive job at tracking payments directly to ECDs, as well as payments on behalf of ECDs or PSAPs or whatever the service may be. It became crystal clear to me. There was a very specific focus in this last 18 to 24 months by the legislature, you guys, everybody, about what the payments were to districts. And your monthly distribution does not paint the whole picture. It just simply does not paint the whole picture. And it became really evident to us that we needed to do a better job regarding how the money is spent for the benefit of 911 and service in the state of Alabama. So that's what we did. Basically, we came up with a statement of benefits for each of you. You will be receiving those. I think we'll mail them because I think I need to do a little bit of a summary statement to go with it to explain it. But just to let you all know, in fiscal year 2025, by the way, we've not been audited on this yet, but to the best of our knowledge and records, as we've not been audited, this is the baseline distribution that is going out this past year. Legacy, we're not quite to $900,000 as far as reimbursement goes. Population distribution is about 4.5 million. So we're averaging between 400,000 and 500,000 each month. As you saw, it was down this month's distribution. PST certification reimbursements, 45,000 for the year. Unclaimed cost recovery distribution, the board voted to do cost recovery, an unclaimed cost recovery declaration last November, and we paid that out late last calendar year. And then the other thing that I just want to highlight is in fiscal year 2025, ECD services paid by the board. One thing I will tell you is this does not show, it does not incorporate cost paid by the board for training of ECDs, PSTs, and PSAPs. It just doesn't. In fiscal year 2025, we at the state board office, out of the operating account, were able to carry that program while we were getting legislation changed. But that is one thing that this does not incorporate. But it does incorporate any language translation services that we pay on your behalf, any network, text, analytics, anything that we do pay on your behalf is captured here. So that's all total for the state. So about a little over 153 million out the door for 911 in the state of Alabama last year. And what this is a single ECD's statement of benefits. So this is what you'll be getting in the mail, just to give everybody sort of an idea. This is the cost per ECD. Obviously, it's made up of your baseline distribution, your legacy reimbursements, population distribution, unclaimed cost recovery distribution. This one in particular happens to not have any PST reimbursements, but if it did, it would be in there as a line item and any individual payments. But here again, you look at the next to last two lines. For fiscal year 2025, ECD services paid by the board, 125,000 and some change. But basically, that's what it costs the board for you all to have call delivery, for you to have language translation services, for you to have GIS support and a platform within which to remediate that data and approve it and aggregate it up to state level, and text, analytics, any logics, Mevo, trying to think what else. But you guys get my drift. Those are the bills we pay on 911 Center's behalf. And just keep in mind that and we can, I mean, the way I came up with this, some of those components are charged by population. Some of those components are charged by device like Mevo. We pay basically a statewide service fee to have Mevo, and then per device that you all have assigned to sit alongside your CPE. Some of it is by number of PSAP, some of it is by number of connections, some of it's by ECD. It just kind of depends on what the component is as to how it's charged to us. But and we could explain that and dig deeper into that if anybody wanted to. But something that I thought was pretty interesting is the sort of orange and white table to the right, the cost per ECD. So out of those ECD services paid by the board, on the high end, we pay $740,000 for an ECD. And on the low end, for an ECD that does not even have a PSAP, they contract their services elsewhere, we pay about $50,000. So there is a cost there no matter what. If you exist in almost any category of your operation, there still is a cost to the board for us to provide the services that we do. And then, of course, the average is, I mean, everybody knows what that means, $235,000 per ECD for you to do 911 and the services that we provide. Obviously, that doesn't incorporate your distribution and any reimbursements, but and nor does it convey any local funding you may have gotten. But anyway, we'll be sending those letters out, just like I said, as a statement of benefits, just so that there's an awareness that while you don't have that bill to be paid by you, there's still a pretty significant bill that we have to pay based on statutory mandates provided to the board or laid on the board. I'm gonna let you talk for a second if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So as Leah stated earlier, we finally got to send out payments for grant cycle 10. It's a brief history. In 2024 is when we started accepting applications for grant cycle 10. We got a bunch of them, 31 for about $5.1 million. Yeah. So we started doing all the evaluations, had the package prepared for the board, and then we got news that wasn't quite clear whether or not we had the authority to pay for grants out of the portion of the fund which we were paying for. So we tabled them, and then we worked toward legislative change, which came in the last session and was signed into law in May of this year, I believe, but did not go into effect until October 1st. So once we were certain the law would be signed, approved, and would get assigned an act number, we re-engaged with districts. 24 of them decided to continue forward. And then others either didn't meet the deadline or decided that they did not want to re-engage with the grant. So After all of that, we had requests for somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.74 million. I can't remember the exact number, but we ended up approving $3.7 million in total grants for 24 ECDs. And as Leah stated, those payments were set up last week and they should have been received. So if you are on this press release as an ECD that received a grant award and you did not get that dollar amount in your bank account last week, please let us know. Starting not this quarter, but next, we'll expect that you guys send us a quarterly status report for any activity that will occur. I believe it would be between October and December. Those would be due, if I'm not mistaken, January 30th. That's all by memory, so I could be wrong. You can reference your grant project agreement that was signed and returned a couple weeks ago.
And because these are mostly, well, they're not mostly, they are CPE and recorder, we know that these will be relatively quick implementations. So we expect this project or this grant cycle to
Close out pretty.
close out pretty quickly. I mean, I realize it started a way long time ago, but
Well, and obviously vendor driven as far as when they can schedule
sure.
your installs and all of those things. But anyway, biggest thing is make sure you got the award because they did come last week. This is a slide that we also used during our presentation at Gulf Coast, and this just kind of outlines the grant program through cycles 8 through 10, which have been the most substantial in the life of the grant program here. In total, we've granted $11.2 million, and you can see by this pie chart that our biggest, like almost 50% of that $11 million has gone to CPE. We wanted to show this really to highlight the fact that as we move forward, that's where the grant program is likely to focus unless we get direction otherwise, because we know there's going to be a need, particularly for CPE, that is capable of accepting a SIP header and doing something with that in the NG911 environment as we work through the FCC's report and order. No follow-up? Wow. All right, so we also in our last board meeting, and we talked about this in our presentation as well, we're engaged by a district for a hardship grant. And so obviously we don't have a grant cycle open currently. And the question has been asked to me in multiple forums, what can a district do if they need grant? There's no grant cycle, or they need some equipment or something like that. Well, the answer is you can petition the 911 board for hardship grant. So what does that entail? Basically, you would submit a letter to the Alabama 911 board detailing what you need and why, how much it costs, the reason, the expenses of hardship, and pack that full of as much information as you possibly can to include why you can't afford it at the local level, even if it's outside of your district, because let's not forget, we all have a creating authority. That creating authority also has the ability to appropriate money for the services that might go beyond 911 in your jurisdiction. So we'll receive that letter and we'll respond in kind, and we'll give you directions on upcoming board meetings where you, as the district personnel, will be asked to come and speak to the board in full and explain your situation and what exactly it is you need. Allow them to ask questions, and you provide them with answers for the boards themselves, the board members, our board members themselves, to fully consider the request and decide whether or not they want to provide that hardship grant. So all of this is outlined in the statute. It has been prior to now. It's just more highlighted with the change of language in Act 2025-376. So I just wanted to bring that to light. So any follow-ups here?
We have had, I think 3 districts reach out to us, and we've told them, that we're gonna try to keep this actual process just available
Mhm.
at all times.
Yeah.
And without the confines of a regimented grant cycle schedule, so there's flexibility here, but we'll just accept the letter, as Adam said, respond in kind, have you come on down, talk with the board, and allow them to make those considerations, because we do understand that there are times where you may have a hardship of some
Yeah.
sort. So it's a little less prescribed than our traditional grant cycle, but purposefully so.
Correct. All right, upcoming training. You don't want me to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just kidding.
I've talked about it so much, probably everybody in here could repeat it, but good morning. First of all, happy National First Responder Day to all of you, first responders. Thank you for what you do, whether you're sitting in the seat or you're supporting those in the seat, we all appreciate you. So before we talk about training, we were talking about Gulf Coast recap, and I just have to say that my favorite thing about Gulf Coast or any events that I attend where you guys are also is when people come up to me and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, we've emailed 15 times. It's so good to meet you. Or I know you brought PST gifts. And I had quite a few people that did that. And so that was just my favorite thing about especially our resource room area, whatever we call it. It was really great. Yeah, it was really great for people I hadn't met in person, but have talked to or emailed with to come up and introduce themselves. So if you're one of those people, thank you. And if you weren't, send your people to do it next time, because it makes my day. Okay, so the big thing is the new emergency medical dispatch program, the second edition that has now been completed, the practitioner course. You should have, if you use our EMD program, received an email from me that had a link to a form, but you needed to tell us how many new guidebooks you needed. And we are working on getting those hand delivered or shipped. And I have delivered quite a few, I think 6 or 7 PSAPs so far. And if you did not receive that email from me, please reach out so that I can send it to you. One other thing is I've had 1 or 2 people who got the email and do not use our EMD any longer. If you are one of those people, please respond anyway with a 0 so that we can remove you from our list, so we don't, spam your email and stuff like that. So yes, new guidebooks will be delivered to your agency if you've responded, and if you need them, please reach out. The new digital platform has now been opened. The password protection has been removed, and that website is emd.al911board.com. Even if you don't use our program, you're welcome to go look at this, but not use it unless you've been trained and certified. But this is an online platform where it was prior a PDF, clickable PDF. So my recommendation has been, when I've gone in the centers, go ahead and create a favorite bookmark, put an icon on your desktop and let it open, and with all the rest of the things you're opening, Flock, Rapid SOS, Texty Prepare, all those resources that we talked about, add that to it so you have it for ease of use and accessibility when you do need it. This is just a little, the transition dates for the new program. So between November 10th and December 31st will be kind of the transition period where you're receiving your new books and returning your old books, where you have the ability to, if you are an instructor, teach the old material. But as of January 1st, that will be our statewide transition date where we will be all in the second edition, which means anyone who is currently certified as a practitioner or instructor needs to take the half-an-hour refresher course on Virtual Academy. When you go in active courses, all you do is in the search bar, search ALEMD. You will see 2 pop up. One will be 2 hours and one will be 0.5, and it says refresher. That refresher is, in hindsight, we named that probably incorrectly, but what that is it is a review of how to use the new guidebook and new guide cards. So this is really just teaching you the difference in the prior and the new. That needs to be done by everyone on or by December 31st, so that we are using the new edition January 1st. As far as instructors go, if you are
Can I add one thing to that?
Absolutely.
Once you take that, that is on Virtual Academy.
Just one.
Please do not upload proof of that to My Alabama. We
Yes.
get automatic information from Virtual Academy, and we've had several that have been uploaded already. So anything that you do in Virtual Academy, we will know about. It just takes, it gets uploaded once every Monday.
Yes, yes, thank you. I'm gonna actually touch back on that in a minute, but unrelated to this course, but okay, if you are a current instructor, you will be receiving an email from me by the end of this business day, and it will also have a form. And the reason we're doing this is we have completed that material, all the things you need to teach the new material. It is very different. You will need to review it, and you will likely have questions about how to use some of the new processes. So I'm sending an email to everyone that we have listed as an instructor to confirm that they want to continue to teach and that they need the new material. So be on the lookout for that. If you do not receive one, please reach out to me. The new material will be sent to you in a file, a PDF. It will also be accessible through the instructor portal, but you have to respond to us for us to make sure you're put in that portal. So please let me know if you don't get it. Reach out. Just a couple little things about the new classes beginning January 1. If you're an instructor, you're required to have open classes for surrounding agencies. And when you create that class, it is not going to be through DocuWare any longer. You will be using an online portal, My Alabama 911. And when you do so, it needs to be done 3 weeks prior to your class date. You'll register your people and in-house, and then it will remain open for outside agencies. This is just an effort to get those agencies who need people certified before they can get someone in-house to become an instructor. And then next year, once the instructor course the development is finalized and released, we plan to have at least 4 classes next year for instructors, and that is a week-long class. So that's just a little bit about that. So if you haven't already, even if you are certified, you're an instructor, you're a practitioner, we have the first in-person new material course November 10th through 11th in Orange Beach at the EMS conference. It's pre-conference. It is just the 2 days now, and I highly, highly, highly recommend anyone that is already certified attending this, just so you can see the new material, how it's taught, and how it works, because it is quite different. So that is still open for registration on our website or on our registration link. Just talking a little bit about upcoming classes. This class actually is going on right now in Atmore today and tomorrow. And then this is will be happening November 19th and 20th. I think one of those classes is full. The other one has just about 4 spots left, but we're trying to host this once a month in partnership with NAMI and CIT. And so if you want this in your area, please email or go to our class request tab on the training registration site. This is just a little bit that we shared at the conference about what's coming up in 2026. There's something every month right now through March, and we have other courses we're waiting to finalize dates on. If you have any requests, please reach out. But all the normal suspects, everything will be advertised where the website, social media, the training registration link. You know, if you see us on the street, we're going to tell you about it anytime. So you can find it all there. This is one of the classes coming up. Baldwin County has about 5 spots left, and November 5th, emotional and social intelligence. And our conference registration has been opened. It is May 4th through 7th next year. Full conference is $99 and day passes are $49. And we have opened call for papers. We are very interested in hearing from you. Daniel, you want to?
Yeah, just to key in on that. If you've thought about speaking or wanted to speak, this is your opportunity to do that. When you do the call for papers, the proposals, you can select how long you want your session to be, who you want your audience to be, whether that be frontline PSTs, leadership, GIS or technical, or any
They're
combination.
not coming
of
for
that.
us.
So, but we really want to, we have our normal suspects of the nationwide trainers that we keep, as well as those in the board staff and our vendors that we have speak. But we really want to focus a lot on the state of Alabama and those within the state of Alabama. So if you would like to speak, please put in your call for papers.
This is just an effort for us to help all of you build your skills and to expand your horizons if you're interested in it. And we want to hear what you have to say.
I want to add something to that. I did a lot of work travel in the month of October. Very specifically, last week I had the opportunity to be with the National Association of State 911 Administrators, so the me and other states. And I know you've heard me say this before, but it was reiterated multiple times last week in a room of my peers. We in Alabama have a lot to offer, educationally speaking, from lessons learned, programs used, tools deployed, uh, all sorts of things. We are incredibly lucky here in the state of Alabama as far as our 911 advancements. And that's not because of me, that's because of us. That's because of all of us. I would strongly encourage you that if there is a topic, if there is something on your mind that you think would benefit a room of your peers, put in your call for papers and then take that and parlay that into not just a state conference or a local something, parlay it into national conference. I challenge you. It's been extended. So
I second that, all of the things that she said. One last thing, I don't have a slide on here about this. We will continue to do our monthly compliance audits the first of the month. And I just recently had a question from a district that they were looking, and 2 weeks ago they had someone who had the correct number of hours for their CEUs requirements. And then when they went yesterday, the day before, it had been reduced by 7 hours and they were unsure of why it showed the current hours. Just so you're aware of our process, when that renewal date approaches, Jesse is going in to manually renew each of the PSTs, but in doing so, part of that process is reviewing the submitted CEUs. And if there are duplicates, those duplicates are deleted. So what happens is when you guys have uploaded your Virtual Academy certificates, but we've already got them from the weekly import Daniel mentioned, one of those gets removed. And so then you come out of compliance. And we don't want anybody to come out of compliance for something as simple as that when it's just a misunderstanding. So pass on to your people. That is one of the reasons that could happen. So just do not upload your VA certificates so that you don't have inflated numbers and think you're where you need to be, or you think your people are. And then the date comes that you get a notice from us and you're not sure why. So,
And you can assign that to them specifically to log in themselves and to check their own portal for duplicates, because they can log in and see their own. Most of our duplicates come from Virtual Academy, where somebody is just uploading Virtual Academy thing and then we upload it on Monday again. So you can have them check that themselves.
What's the duration of which they start to show up in the weekly reports as upcoming for renewal? Is it 30 days?
At all times. Every person is listed at all times with how many days they have left too.
Gotcha. Is there not a call out for those that are approaching?
Yes.
Okay. But they have to be
But
under.
they'll be they'll be
Never
listed
mind.
as over
Gotcha.
because of the duplicates.
Understood.
So
I think that's all I have. That was a lot. It always seems that way. Here you go.
who's next?
I'll take it from
Okay.
here. Just, our every webinar reminders, Legacy 911 cost-free reimbursement submissions. You've got 2 more opportunities, as Leah mentioned earlier, in by November 10th and in by December 10th. If they're not in by December 10th, we can't get you processed for fiscal year 25. And then we'll start taking fiscal year 26, possibly after the first of the year when we get all of that finalized.
I'll add, we do hope to sunset that program next year.
Yeah.
We hope to just, as in not need to do it anymore. So it is a pretty significant administrative lift here in this office for that reimbursement program. And, we've seen some progress in getting those bills redirected, reduced, etc. And that will be something that we believe should be made faster sunsetting that program with the ballot request to the FCC and having carriers convert to SIP migration. So there's a lot of things at play here that hopefully will allow us to sunset that program.
Your annual required reporting to the Department of Public Accounts is due November 30th. You'll have to check their website for all of those details, but just a reminder that it is due November 30th. PST certification reimbursements, that's open all the time. If you get your submission in by the 10th of the month, it is generally paid out at the end of that same month. Anderson?
This is you, Michelle.
Upload, validate, aggregate your GIS data to the state office, VEP, every 2 weeks. Recency, I remember this
There you
now,
go.
is important.
I do want to take the opportunity to build off what Leah said about the coming carrier conversion to the SIP format. That's coming. I know that now. That's coming sooner than you think it is.
Anderson's had a few light bulb moments here in the last couple of months when we talk about next generation 911 core services and all that, how all that works together. And I've enjoyed that this is all,
And,
what we've been barking about is.
and I've said for 5 years your GS data matters, but damn it, I mean it now. and I would like to take the opportunity to start to encourage districts to think about sending your GIS professionals, your addressing authority in-house to the Standards and Best Practices Conference in New Orleans in January. Nina has highlighted it is going to be GIS heavy, GIS centric, and then at the end of the conference, there's a 2-day back end that they call the Critical Issues Forum, which is all about GIS. So if you have the opportunity to send someone in your center to the Standards and Best Practices, and specifically the Critical Issues Forum, I'm going to continue to encourage that on these calls through January. So.
And if you're hiring, send me your job opening. Make sure you include the closing date of that and email it to me. I'll get it posted to our website. And if you're looking for a job, go ahead and check our website for any openings that you might be interested in.
Something else that will be forthcoming and a little ways off, but our traditional ECD certification that continues to evolve. But keep in mind that that information can be updated any day, anytime through My Alabama. So you can get ahead of the curve, even if you want to, about the data that's collected in My Alabama. You can update it anytime, is my point. So while it has traditionally been a looming deadline at the end of January, you have the power to keep it up to date all the time. And one of the most important things is very specifically with your call handling solutions to have the right information and what version you're on. That would be great for us to know for the valid request, the preparation that needs to be made otherwise across the state, any grant money that we should target. Like those are some of those things that type of information is invaluable to us. It's very, very important. And even if you don't know where to look to get the version of your call handling, you ask your vendor or your maintainer to help you with that. That's just something we're gonna need to know and be accurate on sooner rather than later.
True story.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That was my add-on to the report in order, but I did it later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You do it whenever. We do have a couple of rules amendments processes ongoing, and the public hearing for both of them will be on the 19th of November, right before our board meeting. One of them is the what was known previously as the cost recovery rule. And essentially it's a rule that we amended a year and a half ago after went back to that clarity issue in the law about that portion of the fund. We amended it then and kind of stripped it down to its basics, where we're going back in there to match the language from Act 25, 376, as far as utilizing the carrier and ECD services portion of the 911 fund. So if you want to click on that link, you can find the notice of intended action, which has a red line copy of our proposed changes. Same goes with the certification program requirements rule. We are amending the non-compliance penalties to make them less financially burdensome on ECDs based on other advice we were given regarding that. So same goes with red line copy available at that QR code. Those are two different QR codes that go to two different places. And if you have input, submit it to us in writing or plan to attend at 9 a.m. November 19th here to put your comments on the record, and the board will consider them, and the final changes will be contemplated after all of those comments. Questions? I mean, between the seven of us, we had to have filled your head with all sorts of useful information.
Adam, what are you dressing up for Halloween as?
Tired dad.
Good answer.
I second that. Tired parents, all right.
All right, guys, if y'all need anything from us, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call the office here at 334-440-7911, or you can email any of us at any time. So we appreciate you guys spending the last 45-50 minutes with us. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Happy Halloween.
See ya.
Thank you.
Yes.